I have to say that Dorrance is one of the most well-spoken, concise professionals that I've ever had the pleasure of working with.
Dorrance impacted the tone of the Conservancy through his quiet legal presence.
My father introduced my two brothers, David and Daniel, and me to the outdoors by throwing us outside.
He brought the process and the expertise and the legal expertise to all of these different areas, which basically was responsible for bringing the organization along.
From early on, he instilled in the board and the staff the idea of the commitment between the landowners and the Countryside Conservancy.
We moved back here in 1971. We were living in Washington, D.C., and I had basically been away for a number of years when I was in college and then service in the Marine Corps. And so when we came back here, there'd been a gap, been away for a while, and I could see a tremendous change in just that short period of time. So that spurred my thinking that this was something that we should protect and should look into, and so that's how it all started.
My father made sure we got lots of exposure outside, so he would take us on camping trips out towards Lord's Valley. He obviously got us involved in continuing the tradition around scouting. And then he also encouraged us to just go out and try things on our own to see what we liked and what we didn't like in terms of nature and the outdoors.
When I started at the Conservancy, there were no staff, and a big part of the organization was talking about their vision for saving land. Dorrance Belin was the person that put the foundation under that vision.
The early days of the Conservancy, there were very few properties we had under conservation, either that we owned or were under easement. And probably one of Dorrance's biggest contributions was in the area of governance, or helping to provide the organization with the policies, the committee structure, all of the aspects that make an organization work.
So he set the tone. He, in fact, laid the foundation for all of the legal work that is the essence of the organization.
The first project I worked with Dorrance on was the hull easement, which was our first protection project.
And this was the first time the organization had the legal expertise to put together the actual document that comprised what a conservation easement is.
And it was important we had someone very knowledgeable on our first easement, and that was Dorrance.
And for the entire board and myself as the only staff, this was the beginning of credibility. We had talked about preserving land, but Dorrance made it possible to carry out the action necessary to save land. Dorrance was also instrumental in the Little Rocky Glen project.
Well, this was a project that I think a lot of people identified with, and so it was a great asset to introduce conservation to the community.
It is a geological and recreational treasure for the area.
Little Rocky Glen, of course, is a very scenic area, and that's one of the delights of land conservation and being involved. You are in typically very scenic and wonderful spaces.
Dorrance was instrumental in the Conservancy's purchase of the property. He helped us with the legal documents of the transaction. He helped us with the grant writing, and he also helped us with formulating a stewardship plan.
One of the most significant projects I got to work with Dorrance on is the trolley trail. Dorrance was instrumental in the beginning stages of gathering and collecting trail easements and putting those together for the trolley project.
Projects like the trolley trail that give visibility to the Countryside Conservancy and its work. And that probably more than anything else is what impresses our community and our neighbors. And so it's important to be involved and to share all of that with the community and our neighbors.
We are closing in on 5 miles completed, and it is just something that brings the community together. It's part of our mission in connecting and conserving green space. And Dorrance was right there at the beginning stages on some of the more tough, complex trail easements that we had to navigate.
One of the things my dad embodied, he never really said it, but embodied is a phrase that I use now, which is called conservation before credit. And really what that means in my mind is focus on getting the project accomplished, focus on achieving the goal, and figure out who's the best person to do it, and don't worry about who gets the credit for it.
Well, I guess my hope would be that we continue on the successful path that we've been on. We've had great leadership. We've got a wonderful board, a wonderful executive director, and so to sustain that and keep it moving forward will be a major challenge, and I'm sure it's one challenge that we're all looking forward to.
I think my father's impact on land conservation in northeastern PA can be measured in 2 different ways. There's the very numeric acres protected, trail miles created, and that's important. But I think the more important piece is leaving a legacy.
It was my honor and pleasure to work through the years with Dorrance. Always bright, always upbeat, able to cut to the chase and again, break complex things and situations into easy steps to swallow for both the staff and the board members. Just brought a dynamic presence and a clear intellect to the process.
Dorrance's legacy is going to be the opportunity for generations of people to walk trails, to enjoy view sheds, to go walking up the gorge at Little Rocky Glen.
In 50 years, in 2070, when kids are out riding their bikes or picnicking or swimming in these protected areas, they probably won't know who actually made it possible, but they'll be grateful that someone did make it possible.